Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for remaining with us. You're still watching Financial Markets. You're with Anthony, your host, and we're still, of course, driving through some of the stock market performances at the Uganda Securities Exchange. Now, as we wind up these markets, yesterday, generally, the performances were not so good, but I have to say, in terms of volume, much as still there was a decline, there was a spread out, like different companies were able to trade, meaning people have actually started taking interest, very keen interest in buying shares and being able to trade on the stock markets in Uganda and across the world. And in this particular day of trading, particularly, we had a total volume of 1,117,551 shares that were traded on the stock market, and this corresponded to a total market value of 142,909,502. And according to, of course, data calculations from the Uganda Securities Exchange, we had a total improvement of 65%. Of course, there was a 65% decline on the volumes, and a 67% improvement in terms of the turnover that was witnessed on the market. And the current market capitalization of the Uganda Securities Exchange is 22 trillion. Now, generally, when you look at other stocks, we can have a look at also the pricings of other companies on the stock market here in Uganda. We have British American Tobacco at 15,000 Ugandan shillings, no volumes traded, and no changes in price were registered yesterday. We also had Bank of Baroda, Uganda at 85. We didn't have any traded volumes, and neither was there any change in the price. It remained at 85. We also had Centum Investment Company at 285.66 Ugandan shillings, without any shifts or movements in price as well. And then we had Cipla Quality Chemicals Industry, the only pharmaceutical company that is listed, trading a total volume of 1,315 shares at 70.0 Ugandan shillings. We also had DFCU Bank at 1,746 shares that were transacted at a closing price of 547. And then we had East African Breweries coming as a loser, coming down by 48.41 Ugandan shillings to a price of 4,856.22 Ugandan shillings. Another loser was Equity Bank Limited at 17.25 shillings loss, closing the day with a price of 1,523.52. Then we had Jubilee Holdings Limited at 65.40 loss, closing the day with a price of 8,228 shillings. Then Kenya Airways at 121.56 Ugandan shillings, lost by 0.62 Ugandan shillings. And KCB at 1,301.34 also was a loser at 32.08. MTN traded a total volume of 16,050 and lost to a price of 183.97 after losing about 6.03 Ugandan shillings on their market price there. National Insurance Corporation at 10,000 total shares that were traded came in at a price of 5.8 closing price. And then Nation Media Group at 571.32, lost by 2.88 Ugandan shillings. And New Vision at 155 didn't have any movements as well. Stanbic, like we have seen, came out as a top mover at 435,340 shares that were traded, closing the day with a market price of 21 shillings. Whereas Uganda Clays Limited at 5,000 shares that were transacted closed the day with a market price of 17.9 shillings. Women Limited at 200 shillings closed the day with a market price of 648 100 shares as well. And that, of course, brings us to the end of the analysis for the Uganda Securities Exchange market. You can be able to access this market, like I've said before, through your stockbroker. And the stockbroker basically is an intermediate between you as an investor and the exchange. And those are the rules at the moment. You cannot buy stock on your own. You have to go through a licensed stockbroker. And we have 4 of them at the moment who are very active. There's Standard Bank Group, Securities, SBG. Then we also have the Crested Capital, and as well as Dyer and Blair Investments and UAP Old Mutual Stock Brokerage Firm. These will help you get into buying and selling of stock if you only reach out to them. But after all, you can still open the account free of charge and be able to contact them later just to be able to settle your purchases of some of these stock prices. Remember, you have to be putting aside money on investment in the stock market using your residual income, the money that you're not going to need in the long term. Because I will repeat, and I've said this, these are risky markets. You have to be willing to take risk. You have to be willing to be patient and to wait and be able to study and understand how the markets work, so you can be able to profitably benefit from these markets and be able to improve and grow your financial incomes and definitely get into better wealth creation strategy for yourself and your family. You can open the SCD account by simply dialing *165# and following the prompts, using, of course, your national identification number, that is your NIN number, and you will be able to access that using your MTN, that is if you're an MTN subscriber. If you're not an MTN subscriber, you can still go to the website of Uganda Securities Exchange at www.use.ug.org, and then you go to Easy Portal on the website. This Easy Portal will help you to access the details of your personal information, that is your identification number, your identity card photos, and your passport photos, and they'll be able to open for you this account absolutely free of charge, no charges, no cost. So you just have to get yourself into this particular investment area as, of course, you progress in life. Now, let's move ahead into the Nairobi Securities Exchange, our neighbors here. This is the biggest exchange in East Africa, and we cannot talk about the stock market in East Africa and not talk about the Nairobi Securities Exchange. It is not only the largest, but the most active as well, with an average of at least 45 equities participating in trading on almost a daily out of the listed 65 companies that are listed on the Nairobi Securities Exchange. And definitely they provide a lot of trading facilities that have enabled many traders to trade on the stock market. In 2014, the Nairobi Securities Exchange demutualized and listed on its own exchange, and currently they have the company itself, the Nairobi Securities Exchange, as one of their listed equities, which is a very huge milestone for any exchange. To be able to demutualize means they have accountability to their shareholders, because they have to make profits, they have to produce results, they have to produce their annual financial results, they have to be, of course, very transparent with their transactions. And so That was a very wonderful achievement for the Nairobi Securities Exchange, and the effects of that have been carried on till to this day. And regarding the performance of these stock markets at Nairobi Securities Exchange yesterday, we had a total of 45 Nairobi Securities Exchange listed equities participate in trading, ending with 23 gainers and about 14 losers on the market. Car and General were one of the gainers who came out on top, on the very top of the gaining list after gaining by 9.92%. Share price appreciation closing at 43.75 Kenyan shillings per share. And you can also see that she was followed by Crown Paints Kenya, who got a decline, an increase of 9%. And Nairobi Business Ventures got an increase of 6.27%. And Centum Investments Company Limited gained by 6%. And so those are some of the gainers. But remember, there were 23 gainers and just about 14 losers. On this losing side, CIC Insurance Corp Group came out last with an end-of-day price depreciation of about 6.1%, closing the day with a price of 2.0 Kenyan shillings. They were followed by Umeme, who lost by 5.3%, and they were followed also by Nairobi Securities Exchange, who lost by 4.52% of the of their price valuation yesterday. We also had Diamond Trust Bank at a 2.91% decline, and definitely those were some of the highlighted losers on the market. Safaricom traded the biggest volume, and that was a 12.2 million shares that were traded, followed by Equity Group Holdings at 936,600 shares on the market. Kenya Power and Lighting Company sold about 311,600 shares, and KCB transacted about 216,100 shillings. Now let's take a look at Safaricom here. This is a company we have always read with very huge volumes, and if you follow stock markets in Kenya, you know that Safaricom is one of the companies that has the most active stock. And so let's look at how this company has been able to maintain such a performance over the years. If you have also been following, MTN Uganda changed their CEO from Mr. Wim van Helput to Madame Sylvia, who is coming in from Safaricom, and she takes this position of the Chief Executive Officer from Wim van Helput, who is now going to be able to lead MTN in the West African countries of Liberia, Sierra Leone, and so many others as well. Now, this company of Safaricom has quite some good activity, like I've said, and when you look at where this company has come from, it is a telecommunications company, and it is engaged in the provision of SMS, voice data, internet, and mobile PESA or M-PESA services. And the company offers a range of services such as mobile handsets and then mobile broadband modems, as well as routers, tablets, notebooks, and laptops, as well as other computers. And with a range of pricing plans on prepaid and postpaid options, Safaricom offers a variety of messaging services that are bundled within the SMS or data services, which include video messaging, SMS, best options, promotions, and so on. The company was listed on the Nairobi Securities Exchange in 2008. That was on the 9th of June. and it trades under the ticker symbol SCOM or SCOM. And Safaricom is currently the most valuable stock on the stock market in Nairobi, and with a total market capitalization of 1.12 trillion Kenyan shillings, which is about 52.3% of the entire Uganda Nairobi Securities Exchange. Yesterday, the company lost by 0.05 Kenyan shillings only to 27.9, and that was a 0.18% daily loss as well there on the market. And following this loss, we are seeing that when we compare with the year-to-date performance, Safaricom had at the beginning of the year a price of 37.92 Kenyan shillings, but has since lost 26% of that price valuation, ranking it the 59th on the Nairobi Securities Exchange in terms of year-to-date performance. Shareholders' worries, however, can be compounded by the fact that Safaricom has lost over 6% of its stock's value from August 2nd to the debt. And Safaricom is the #1 most traded stock as well, still within the last 3 months on the Nairobi Securities Exchange. That is from the 2nd of June to the 31st of August 2022. And it has traded within this period a total volume of over 452 million shares over the period, with an average of 7.18 million traded per session. You can imagine a total average of 7 million shares per session, meaning Safaricom has done way better than many companies on the Nairobi Securities Exchange. And this is definitely due to very many foreign investors as well who are investing in the company, and the locals as well in Nairobi and also across East Africa. Many people have been able to take interest in investing within the company, and hence this very rapid growth. And we can say that the volume high of 36.1 million shares was achieved also on the 24th of June 2022, with a low of 502,800 on the 23rd of June. And when you look at the details of their performance, almost all the time, every single day, their trading volumes are in millions. You're seeing 12 million, you're seeing 5 millions, 1.7 million, 4 millions, and so on. So Safaricom is a very active stock there. #1 most traded stock. Matches is still on the losing side at about 6% off its year-to-date performance, but still an investable stock, something you can look out for as well as an investor. As I said, you're not limited as an investor to where you can invest, so long as you have the right people, you have the money to invest, and the will, which is very, very, very important. And a reminder, Altex East Africa also gives you this chance to invest across East African securities like treasury bonds and treasury bills by using your phone and dialing *292# using your MTN line, and you can be able to access thousands of, not thousands really, but various bonds across East Africa for yourself, and definitely enjoy a little more value on your money. Summarizing the trading here on the Nairobi Securities Exchange, at the end of the day, we had only about 14,597,900 shares in about 950 deals, and corresponding to a total market value of over 408 million Kenyan shillings. That's about 408,890,000 Kenyan shillings. And compared with the previous Nairobi Securities Exchange trading day, there was a 31% improvement in the volume, a 54% improvement in the turnover, and a 14% decline in the number of deals, while the market capitalization was maintained at 2.14 trillion Kenyan shillings there on the stock market. Regarding the performance of the index, that is the Nairobi Securities Exchange All Share Index, starting with, of course, the benchmark, which is the All Share Index. The benchmark index declined by 0.67 points, losing about 0.49% off, and that led to a closure of 137.46 points on the day, representing a 1-week loss of 2.21% and a 4-week loss of 2%, and an overall year-to-date of 17.42% there. And of course, other remarkable indices that performed were the NSE 20, the NSE 25, and the FTSE NSE. That is the summary of the Nairobi Securities Exchange performance. Only 45 listings were participants in the market, and we had a total of 23 gainers and just about 17 losers as well. You can trade on this market virtually here in Uganda if you access maybe some of the stock brokers who are able to buy you stock across borders, and it's a good way to diversify as well and make sure you have stock here and there. The quarterly bulletin has been released also for the second quarter of the market performances there in Kenya, Nairobi, and this quarterly bulletin is a good indication of what the companies in Nairobi have been able to do and how the quarter has been, which people have been the top movers. You can get it online at the Capital Markets Authority of Kenya website as well. We're going to go into a very quick breather, and when we return, we wind up with the top stories making headlines in the financial markets world, and definitely wind up the show. Stay with us. We'll be right back.